Hey, how you doing? My name's Sean. Well, sometimes. Sometimes it's Rupert Pumpkin. Sometimes it's Sky Apoca. Labels, right? I wanted to talk a little bit about an interesting subject. I want to say, as a natal sun Libra, South Node Libra, 7th house, with Venus, that it is the most interesting topic. True love. You know? That, entirely hypocritical, yet forever searching for theme in our lives. It's in all that we like, our greatest passions. And they say it's a thing to have of the true self. I wouldn't know. Grimy is. But there's an interesting perspective that I could bring to the table. If you were in a perfect relationship, no, let's put it that way. Perfect relationship, total trust, total faith. Now imagine this: if you were to leave and your significant other did not feel any pain, suffering, or missed you at all, and just like went on with their lives, would that be what you considered true love? Like, would that be what you want? Interesting, right? Because that's basically, you have to think about it like, how selfish is that? To want the other person to feel pain? Is that true love? Because then, isn't there the fear? I want to disband all the concepts that we've built up around the whole ideas of true love and fear, and what they really are. I wouldn't know what they really are, but with Occam's chainsaw, it's pretty easy to figure out what they're not. Well, I hear in philosophy that it's very rude to say a word like obvious. So maybe I shouldn't say it's pretty easy. From my perspective, it just makes sense. Now, fear. What is fear? Right? Why have it? To have faith. Faith, isn't that love, connection, trust? The faith is the inner understanding, isn't it? In the LOA world community, faith is the creation of what you will and desire from the heart. And as is fear, right? They say, you're always afraid of what you don't know. And isn't that the truth? Fear is the unknown. Fear is the thought of something unfamiliar or something scary, which is a darkness, a void, perspective that we're not very in tune with. And then to have faith, that's to have that dream within you, the harmony. But then isn't it a lack of faith to question? They say don't question God. And isn't that fear in general when we have a fear onto anything? It's a lacking of faith, trust. And the law of attraction community, that would be the choice. The choice of giving up free will and creation, creative right. But then how can you have a pure, true love without the fear? How can that exist? Because isn't the true love the discovery of things being the harmony? Not a being, the state of being, They say that that's where you find bliss. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. But let's throw on some concepts here. Would that be to say that there are many accidents? We love to say things like, there are no accidents. Everything is meant to be. Because things do flow in a certain way of irony, Our hypocrisies unfold into a self-discovery, and ourselves unfold through denials and facing them. And the facing of those denials are not without courage. You need the courage, because it's terrifying, right? To look within shouldn't be. Why is it? It's the one place that's always there. It's always been there. The nature of denial. Every argument has it. Every fight. Every dispute. I don't mean a logical dispute. Purely logical with scientific method. No, we don't really have that these days. Not with humans being brought up on this cancer cell-based mentality of scarcity. So, don't mind me. I find that constant hypocrisy and acceptance of the hypocrisy helps me see my deeply embedded denials. I've had probably more than anybody I know, well, besides one person. There's a lot of BS, I want to say, going around in the spiritual communities. You have, for instance, what you call light workers. Amazing people. some of them can do some amazing stuff, you know. Whether you have any kind of belief into whatever or whatnot, it's I'm looking at this as just person to person talk, you know. What you choose to believe is totally cool, as long as it does not hinder the growth of humanity or make anybody suffer. You know, cause suffering to a conscious, aware being. That would be forcing your will upon another, controlling slavery, you know. That is inherently not awareness. That is ignorance and being obtuse to the pain and suffering of another. I had that so much. I have a lot of pain sometimes, you know. It's like I would put excuses to it. In astrology, I have Saturn conjunct Uranus, Saturn of constriction, a mold, and Plato being pushed through the mold. Like my teacher taught me, it's a painful thing, but you come out formed, shaped. The aim of Saturn is perfection. That's, you know, we all have Saturn. And then Uranus is it was discovered during the French Revolution, American Revolution. You know, it's the rebel. Uranus travels in a total random ecliptic cycle. You know, it just spins around like weird, right? That's so me, you know. For me, the midheaven, I don't like the way that a lot of people describe it. I want to say, I try to look at everything through a irony when we look at it as above so below, as within so without. So the midheaven, right up above, would be the depth of the heart. The ascendant to the east, where the sun just first rises and shines its bright light. That's the first impression, right, that people get from you. That's where my moon is in Pisces. Very, very, very emotional. Yeah. Kind of darkish, I guess. I mean, I love punk rock, hell. Scorpio, Pluto generation here. With Mercury conjunct, so I'm not afraid to speak on it. Now the thing is that gives me a very well, sometimes off balanced, I guess you could say, persona, depending, but in the natural state, I want to say it's very balanced, you know. It's like if you were to spin a top, and then as it slowed down, instead of falling to the side, it would stand straight up. Pisces moon 12th house to the east. Very empathic. Very much about the raw, essential, deep underworld emotion. You know, they say Pisces moon is like looking into your reflection in a very deep, dark, crystal clear lake. And then on the right is my sun sign, Libra. Oh, shoot. Battery's dying. 7th house Libra with South Node. Ain't that son? The Libra thing that a quote I like to say, I don't know who said it first, but God made all equal, but Libra is more equal than others. Right. Corny. So with Libra, now we use the term air, but that doesn't really make too much sense to me. Air. I mean, if you were to look at it, no, it's just a long story. Yeah, why not? Once upon a time, back in 2006, I committed suicide. I took too much pills, 32 much, and overdosed. I wasn't gone for long, but the experience to me was completely opposite than what my brother and friend saw. After I was already pale and passed out, I went down through the dream realm, which was a mirror reflection of where I was, only I was outside in the dream realm. I was looking into my trunk. And then a vortex came out from the trunk, swirling and sucked me in like gravity. That gravity feeling, you know? That feeling like when you just had a breakup, or when you're falling. The fear into the unknown. Your light is gone. It felt like forever. I felt in horror as everything that I knew was stripped away from me. My words, my memories, my body, my name, until I want to say I was nothing. But that's not true. Even though it was complete darkness, and even though there was no sense of time or direction up or down, it did feel like I was spinning around in every direction, grasping in every direction, feeling all of the pain and suffering that we know very well in this realm. But just that. Just the feeling. Now, wouldn't that feeling in general, we say, trust the heart. Follow the heart. The heart is true. Well, you look at the stanzas of Daizan or such. In the stanzas of Daizan, it talks about how the light of creation would eventually go back into the void and fall asleep again, to wake up again from it. You know, like its own reincarnation of all reality. So then, the light isn't, so to speak, eternal. But of course then we're talking about like concepts, hypothesis on a dimensional realm that we can't really imagine, except for being before space and time. You know, I want to put it like this. You see, when I was there was a huge irony. Because after what felt like forever, I felt something familiar. To feel the something familiar, it must have already been there. Right? It's a timeless place. It was just my inability to see it. It must have been what it was for me. It was the feeling of love. Love. Once I felt it, I grasped onto it. And I shot through like a ray of light. Straight out the trunk, back up. And out into the dream realm where my memories came back to me. And then I was lucid in that dream. Like looking at my brother and looking at my friend. And then I was like, okay, I'm coming back. And I woke up. I was only gone for a minute or two, they said. Funny. So, like, basically, technically, my brain still had oxygen, I guess, right? They were checking my blood pressure, my heartbeat. But, anyways, here's an interesting concept that I figured. So, being in the void, how do I know I was not the sun, the light, the spark, you know? If there's nothing to reflect back that light of being, then the only way to see the light would be to look within. That's an irony, right? The thing is that in not seeing the light, I had no thought, no memory. I had emotion, I had feeling, that's it. But upon seeing the light, it all came back, like that, boom. You know, time itself. So being the light, you feel you are the void. I would say that being the void, looking within, you think you are the light. Isn't that funny, you know? Irony is the face of God. And we are created in His, her image, which would be what? Pure awareness, right? It's a funny concept. How is it that there's this duality that's prevalent all throughout so many cultures, you know, when it comes to the creation story? In the most oldest Hawaiian chant, there's also duality in their creation chant. In the stanzas of Dazan, in the Egyptian mythology, in the Bible, the Holy Torah, you know, the mechanical translations of it. That's my favorite, by the way. And astrology. I love it. So you have Aries coming out from the void, which is the 12th house. You know, Pisces coming out from the depths of the water of the underworld. There's that spark, the I am. Right? The Aries, always running around, doing this or that. Very much reflective, I want to say, of that emotion I'd felt while being in the void. There's a searching, there's a constant searching. Then there is the searching then finds memory, and there's a pacing, there's a slowing down, and in acceptance, like a which is Taurus, just like, oh, there's things that I have, my memories, oh my god, the values, yes, yeah, this is it, this is what it's all about, but upon the values being seen, then there's also the duality coming into play. Gemini used to be the symbol of two spheres, two circles, and the two circles had a bridge coming across. Right. The first air sign. This would also be the beginning of the Holy Trinity. Right. What is that? What does that mean? The Holy Trinity. Because we already know that if that the duality is an irony, that the awareness is actually wherever it wants to be. It's just the perspective, whether the awareness is looking without or within. That gives it the claim of being a void or being the light, and the claim is always wrong. If you had no feeling, you would only think. And if you had no thought, you would only feel. And it's simple as that. Consciousness at its basic forms. Very basic. I'd say the most basic would be to just be. Right? Now, the thing is, with the Holy Trinity, the Gemini, two spheres, interesting thing, when two electrons, which, by the way, electrons are completely the same as every other electron. The only difference that they have is directional quark spin and superimposing, being in multiple places at once, and or going through time in different directions. Right, but other than that, an electron is essentially the same as every other electron, and they repel each other. That negative charge, or whatever term you want to call it, they repel each other. When two electrons collide, get too close to each other, it opens up space-time, and a packet of energy flows through as a wave of photons. That's right. Irony is the face of God, and two electrons that are in denial of being each other actually face each other, and in facing each other, they face themselves, because they are the same thing, and there is light. Two spheres with a bridge in between. Gemini. Air sign? I don't think so. Light. Definitely. That being said, it's a long story to get to the point, sorry. Libra. Libra, the scales. The judge. How about Libra, the librarian? I like that better. The light. The thought. We Libras are so much thought. We're always trying to balance, because there's that lacking of seeing the self, except through others.
which becomes a very insecure thing. But it can also be a gift, a blessing. So on my personal left, I have Moon Pisces 12th, very much emotional and considerate of others' emotions. And then on my right, Libra, Sun. Right up above, Uranus, Saturn conjunct. That's a force right there. Because that's also within. That's what it is. And what that does is it gives me a irony. I can find the value. I can find the bliss and the beauty in my suffering. You know. What does that mean? Doesn't mean I like to hurt myself, although these are enjoyable. I smoke a lot, I know. My mom did too. Hated her for it. Maybe it's my way of saying I forgive you and I'm sorry. And then hurting myself. But it's, Edgar Cayce put it like this. All souls are destined to return to God. And then if we look at it like that, as God being the oneness that is within us all, that would mean that all paths are holy. And that there's no wrong way. If you've ever read the Gospel of Thomas, which was taken out of the Bible, I can't quote it word for word, but I remember the apostles came to Jesus, or the people came to Jesus, and they asked him, should we fast? Or should we not eat animals? And Jesus said, if you refrain from eating animals, surely you will cause yourself to go to hell, or something like that, right? And he said, if you fast, surely you will guilt yourself into not going to heaven. But rather it is not by what you put into your mouth, but by what leaves your mouth that determines. And that's a very interesting concept, because then it becomes, what do you feel? What do you choose? What do you think? Personal belief is everything, isn't it? It creates our experiential dilemmas and our experiential blisses. A lot of times our blisses can unfold in awareness to be painfully awakened of, like here's a good one, light workers. I love light workers. Unfortunately, there's a lot of hypocrisy. I went into a lot, seeking guidance. I was egotistical, so I was cast away. I forgive, of course, because it's not anybody's fault if they don't know a thing, It is a fault, though, when there's a denial. It's always our fault. Our denials are always right in front of our faces. So how is it that because a person is egotistical, which we know, egotistical is it's irony too, because what it really means is the person is in pain and fear, right? That doesn't sound like something that a pure-hearted person would deny of another selfishly. And this isn't about blame, because blame always becomes a battle. You have to be able to have the spiritual maturity to think of it as a concept, which I don't expect everybody to. Everybody's got different signs, different planets and different houses and different aspects. Everybody has a beautiful, unique, and holy perspective. They have skills that nobody else really has exactly. Maybe like twins or something. And they have weaknesses and lacks. But each weakness is also a virtue. You have the opposites in astrology. Aries. Aries is very much self-assured and very gung-ho, got a lot of self-belief and powerful as not needing others to know. Libra is the opposite. Libra is so self-conscious and totally looking to others, But Aries really consider too much about others. What others might be thinking, or which is a virtue, but also a flaw. It's ironic like that. And just as so, you have Libra. Libra is what they call the ultimate party host, or the ultimate host, because Libras, we care what other people think. Now for me, I've got my South Node in 7th house with my Sun sign, so for me, my soul path is to go away from there and to go towards Aries. So I don't have that weakness anymore. Not in whole. I have balance now. Took a lot. There's a lot of irony. I feel so sad for a lot of the ironies out there, because so many people are suffering in different ways. Because they're stuck and caught in this whole, what do I do? Duality. Which way do I go? How do I see something? This doesn't make sense. And some awaken to very, very amazing and beautiful, powerful gifts. Some have already had those gifts, and some have trained and been initiated into many amazing things. I want to say all are right, and all of us here on Earth are wrong and in denial. It's really always the funniest thing to look at the duality. The good versus evil. I mean, what is good? What is evil? Is that a thing in nature that we can perceive? It's in philosophy, it becomes epistemology. A question that can be forever asked because there's no conceptual answer, so to speak, right? I mean, we have the word definitions. What does that give us besides things up for debate, because after all, we are using a monetary system in our economy. What an oxymoron. The fractional reserve based monetary scheme, fractional reserve banking. And what does that do? All it does is create more debt, more debt, more inflation. Intrinsically, becomes a system where scarcity and the lack of things is beneficial for a company. Think of this logically. If scarcity is the law of this economy, while our population grows, then taking act into that economy is the choice for you to hurt a lot of people. It's your choice that there's all the homeless people suffering on the street by you being the gear in the system. It is your will that they're suffering. When you go and you buy a gallon of milk at the store, you are supporting cows all over getting fisted, raped, frozen bull semen, so they can become pregnant, and then when they have birth, the baby calf is taken away immediately while they're both crying and screaming, so you can have that milk. That is your choice. Were you aware of that? Were you aware that you were choosing that? It can be a hard thing to accept, huh? Maybe watch some of the videos. I know it's painful, but the truth hurts, doesn't it? Now, light workers can do amazing things and heal the sick, and I love that. But what does it matter when you're causing more damage through the system that you're in denial of being in? It's horrible, you know? I feel for it. I'm vegan myself. That was a hard thing for me, to be vegan. It was a funny story. My teacher, Vila, I call her my teacher. She's my friend. She messaged me right before my birthday. I had just eaten a Big Mac. Just eaten it. And she's very much an activist, and she told me that the PETA had asked her to write a letter, a statement for a petition or some a statement for the PETA, and because she's bilingual or trilingual, I don't know, maybe speaks a bunch of languages, but because I'm a good writer, I want to say she came to me and she asked me if I would do it. I was honored. I was like, wow, really? Like, but I'm not even vegan. Like, you know, how am I gonna do this? Maybe if you just told me the words and like I could write it out. She was like, no, no, no. I want you to just here, watch this video for me and empathize with the animal. You know. And, I was like, all right, okay. You know, I've been studying astrology and I've been getting more in tune with myself as that, you know, those forms of consciousness layers, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna empathize. You know, I thought it was just gonna be just. I thought it was gonna be one of those farm videos, you know, with the cows and all that. So I went into it immediately already having decided that I was going to empathize with the animal. And I turned it on. And I made sure I watched it all the way through. It was a video of a bunch of punks with golf clubs laughing as they beat a dog in an emptied out swimming pool, and the dog ran around trying to escape, and I could hear it, and I felt it, and I felt the emotion in the howling, and as it squealed from getting hit while they laughed. I didn't understand the why. It was hard. I felt the sides of it, as in I felt that I was the one hitting the dog while I was the dog too. Getting hit, betraying myself. I was in shock. I started puking. I went in the shower and I was gagging in the shower, shivering. And I could hear the dog still in the shower. And I could feel the meat in my belly from the animal that was in there. And I realized that the denial that I was in for so long of my life, you know, the denial was that I was causing suffering, whether it was personally, you know, face to face or not. That doesn't make it right. Just because there's a scheme of mechanics, you know, mechanical natured corporations out there doing it for you, that doesn't mean that you aren't intrinsically a part of it. Just as I was. Just as I felt. That's a betrayal. That is a betrayal of humanity as the stewardship of this planet. And as we cause suffering to other humans, that is a betrayal of God. God within all of us. I speak this completely hypothetical. I am not religious. No, I've studied a lot of religions. You know, I love to read all kinds of religions. I love theology and history, and I don't specifically feel like beliefs in general are at all a thing that should be imposed or superly valued. Actually, I mean, because a belief can go in any direction, you know? If you get a good imagination, you can believe whatever the heck you want. It doesn't really mean it's anything that's substantial. A belief in general, you know. There's a very big difference between belief and awareness, because the belief is based off of concepts derived from the past, which is an illusion that is specifically only something that can be jotted down in the moment and conceived of the past, and of course in the memory. In physics, there's only the right now moment and the spreading of subatomic particles going in basically every direction throughout space-time. So then it kind of becomes like a huge, like, wait, we were looking at things linear? How are you going to take this dimension and try to superimpose a one-dimensional mind frame on it? You know, that's not even that's not even close to the capabilities that the human consciousness can achieve. A human consciousness, how about that consciousness can achieve? Because what is to be human? I've been without body and without mind. I was still aware. You see, that's the thing. Awareness is always there. Awareness is intrinsically, I don't want to say opposite, but the deeper fundamental cornerstone of consciousness than belief. A belief is, what is a belief, you know? I mean, I want to say that everybody here is in denial spiritually through consciousness. Like, if we say consciousness, okay, like, let's just hypothesize right here. If consciousness stemmed from one source, and that one source was beyond space-time, you know, all throughout in a single moment of always, right? However you want to put it. If we were born from that consciousness, and we forgot, then in every moment, as we say, look within, you know, that's where the truth is, right? In every moment that we're not, we're in denial of it. You know, every moment that we are not truly experiencing the allness of God, and every moment that we are thinking with our beliefs, they're really a denial. You know, I mean, isn't that the nature of denial? You know, you look at denial psychologically. Denial would be a thing fought for, right? Whenever we have a denial and somebody argues it, we don't, you know, the subconscious mind, and, you know, it does not want to, subconscious mind does not want to look at it at all. The moment rises up and we're like, no, you. We immediately point back, you know, the blame. You, not me. I'm not looking at myself. I don't want to, but you. You know, that's denial. That's like very much prevalent. Yeah, no, everybody. I mean, no, I've seen some people that are just so full of love and beautiful acceptance. And, wow, it's like humbling. It's so humbling. Like I revere them, but I am not gonna be an illusion and think like, oh, they are always like that, you know. Or what is the they? even in that sense, we always judge people by their pasts, and the past is illusion. Even by the ways that we judge, they're based on limiting concepts of awareness that we apply onto others. But logically, they are lacking truth. Our concepts are lacking truth. We don't have the awareness to see all the little aspects. So we take one and claim it and then impose it on another? No. That is not awareness. That's obtuse. That's ignorance. In fact, only when we communicate, collaborate, and systemically have faith in one another, not in the sense of put our entire everything into what another person, says or does, as though they are the leader and okay, all right, here, take me and my soul and whatever, I'm gonna trust you. Yeah, and then we have fears about being betrayed. That's because there's not the equal leadership. Everybody should be that leader, If we all had that leadership to run our lives, as well as have faith in one another, that would be exactly natural. That would be human nature, just as the healthy human cell, right? Does the healthy human cell, like of the body, have like one cell that runs it all? Is there like a living cell that they vote for or something? No. As a natural form of consciousness, all these cells are giving and sharing of each other, to each other, in harmony. It's when they become greedy, it's when you introduce things like toxicity, malnutrition, and dehydration to the body that shock the cell into a fear-based mentality of scarcity. That's when they become cancer cells and start to greedily hoard, take in more than they need. Cells around it ask and are denied. How much of your life has been portrayed as that? Or supporting that? Now, giving is perfectly beautiful. Giving of your objects and what you have and all the freedom in it, and the trust and the love. It's beautiful. Is that like a thing to say as an excuse? Right? Does that make sense? Like if you were in a relationship, right, and you were like being abused, right, by the other, and then the other one was like, but I bought you chocolates. I buy you chocolates every week. It makes up for it, no, right? Is that cool to you? I mean, I'm a hypocrite. Don't look at me. I'm smoking cigarettes like crazy. Probably already got some kind of cancer. Wouldn't that be ironic? Tyler, would you... Psh. No. Okay. I shouldn't smoke with him in the room. Well, I guess that's basically my ramblings. I'll stop for now. I know usually when a person's confronted with these kind of things, there's a lot of anger portrayed towards the speaker. I mean, it happens every time. Like, not to bust a Russell Brand, but like I'm gonna associate with Jesus here. Look at how they treated Jesus, you know. And like my friend Vila put it a good way. She said if Jesus was alive today, he would not last a second. They would shoot him down in a couple of minutes. You know, and it's not because they're afraid of him. It's because they're afraid to look at themselves. Right? Meow. I know. I know. I think it should be, because it's a courageous thing, right? It takes courage to seek the truth. It takes courage to look within, and it takes courage to accept I may be wrong. You know? That's humble, that's awareness. In fact, just to think I am right. I would argue that to think I am right in general, like I mean, like I know we're stuck in it, and I know it's going to be a hard thing to break concept of because of the dimensional barriers that we have as conscious beings. But I want to say, I know a thing. I know something is true. Wouldn't that so badly be denial? I mean, look. Even mathematically, we know we got what M theory. That M theory is asking for what, like 11 to 13 dimensions of existence. That's a lot. That's a lot. You know, that's a lot of vibrational existence that we do not perceive. So even if you know a little bit about, you know, a little bit of the higher dimensions, or, you know, I mean, I'm a lucid dreamer, you know, I mean, that, I don't know what that is, a lower or whatever, but, but I mean, like, I want to say it like this: how do you know it's not a Taurus, as a Taurus, you know? The world is, the heart is the EMF that goes off from the heart in the brain, you know. We look at the world as a North Pole, South Pole, but if you were a stream of that EMF, it would be actually going up and then going into the earth and then going out through the other side and going, so it would be a constant stream. You know, it's not like it's not like it's not a duality. You know, it's one movement. You know, it's ridiculous. It's just just how you look at it. Alright, well, that was an hour, so that was cool. You know, that's good talking to you. Showing my face, not crying in the camera, which I did before. It's fun. Bye for now.